What is happening, everybody? I hope you've had a good...
Back in like 2005, something like that.
I think my first con was so good. It's Friday Junior.
It's Friday Junior, it's podcast day, it's payday.
And if you come out, do it electrically. Doesn't matter how you feel about the situation.
My name is Raph. We're always before we start the podcast because we just want to talk about it. We want to talk about music and just share those stories and experience. This is my co-host Carl, aka the Beer Buddy. He is hailing you.
This sort of weird era where they're sort of right in that post-grunge.
Look, you're fighting the good fight in today's world. My war was fought 40 years ago, really.
We are the two dudes who talk music, and we are here. Hey, I'm too quick on that air horn button, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, that is amazing. I love every second of it, dude. Fantastic.
What is happening, my man? How you doing? How you doing?
Oh, dude, I'm so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
There
cheers,
we
buddy.
go.
Cheers. Oh, you're on the Mercuries. Those things are rocket fuel.
They are. That's why I'm only having one.
Yeah, it's one and done, them ones. Dude, how have you been? Congratulations.
I'm good.
Congratulations to Nuclear Vision on that new release for Breathe, the cover with Sin Soto.
Yes.
That is absolutely fantastic. Great work, man. Great work on the
Thank
recording
you.
too. We all know that was you.
Thank you. I have to give a lot of props to Cherv from Sin Soto. He did an
And
incredible
Cherv,
job on
yep.
a lot of it. Shout out to Cherv, man. He did so much of the synths there. He did a lot of the guitars. I would not have had as much cool, good shit to work with. I wouldn't have had as much good quality stuff to work with and mix together if he hadn't done his stuff on it. So I got to give a massive shout out to that legend as well. But yeah,
He's a fucking
Lexi did a
genius.
fucking great. Lexi did a great job with her shit. Zach did a great job with the drums that he put down on it. Brad's vocals was. I know there's not a lot of vocal work in there, but it was. Brad came in and because with the new Rage, that was actually a lot of those vocals were recorded at Brody's place while I was in America. So I actually didn't record with Brad for most of that. So this was actually my first time properly recording Brad's vocals for anything. And yeah, man, it was just, we just went in and we're like, all right, this is the approach I want to take. Let's get it done. And we just got in there, smashed it out real quick. He's really, really good at doing when you're doing vocal layering and you got to get the same shit, timing wise, pretty much bang on. Really, really good at doing the same thing repeatedly, which is good for layering and getting all that. So that was
so
awesome.
now we
But
just
yeah,
got
shout out to the
to
crew.
now we just got to hear how it was with Brad working with you to get the other side of the story.
But no, shout out to everyone involved. My job was made a lot easier by that. So yeah, look, I'm had a great time with that one. And yeah, man, I see you've been working hard. You've been down there at all the gigs. You've been filming shit, promoting shit.
I've been having so much fun. The scene in Sydney at the moment is just going gangbusters. Nothing is slowing it down. No drama, no bullshit. It's just everyone's just heads down, ass up at the moment. It's really good to see. And yeah, big shout out to the band Fist I saw last week. Nice sludge punk rock band, which was a nice standout from the norm at Ram It Down, which is mostly metal 99% of the time. So to have a punk band down there was fucking awesome. And they're such funny dudes.
Speaking of new bands, I was put onto a band last night that I heard the name and I'm like, yep, that's a band I like. They're called Nunslaughter.
Nuns? Oh, fuck. Is it N-O-N or N-U-N?
No, N-U-N.
Oh,
N-U-N.
wow.
They're sort of this weird, grind, old school hardcore thrash, sort of spun all together type shit. It's really, really good. Highly recommend checking it out.
We're going to have to.
Look, we're here for a reason. We're here for a very important reason today. I've been wanting to get this guy on the podcast for a little while now. Because he actually, and I know we normally have bands and all that good shit, which is fun, and that's an amazing part. But I've been wanting to get this fella on the podcast for a while now because he has his own very, very successful music podcast. I suppose it touches on more than just music, but we have with us today the absolute legend that is Ned from the Underground. My brother, thank you so much for joining us today. We very, very much appreciate that. How you doing?
No worries at all, man. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Just kicking back and listening to you boys talk about Nunslaughter. Very interesting one right there. I haven't heard of them, man.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I hadn't either. Someone told me about them, and they're like not got huge. Doesn't look like they got huge numbers on streaming, so I'm keen to dive in and check it out. But mate, thank you so much for joining us today. We very, very much appreciate that. Now, as I said, you have your own very, very well, I think it's very, very successful music podcast called The Underground, which you have been doing for how long now? When did you actually start that?
It's cool that you guys are from Australia because you'll get this sort of thing. Do you have like community radio and stuff like that from where you boys are from? Like community radio
Yeah.
stations?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, my buddy and I started doing the underground, or what we called the anti-pop, back then in the early 2000s. So we were doing the anti-pop on a local radio station where I'm from, like just playing some of the most, out there sort of crazy stuff. And we eventually got kicked off because a priest, speaking of, Nunslaughter and all that sort of stuff, he apparently, because my buddy played So What by Metallica on there. And of course, didn't appreciate that. We got kicked off. Not long later, I come back and I bought in the underground, and because we weren't allowed to do it together anymore, and he did another show called The Powerhouse, I think it was. He was just metal, and I was mainly just sort of rap and hip hop and that sort of thing, and alternative music. And yeah, so it's been going on and off since, like, I'd say 2005 sort of thing.
Jesus Christ. So we're coming up on 20 years.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Wow.
That's exciting.
The changes you must have seen in the last 20 years would be fucking...
Yeah, it's out there. Yeah, that's exactly right. But we've been doing it sort of properly since 2010. So that's like when it's really sort of, we relaunched the whole thing. Like we got the Facebook page popping, and then I was working at an actual commercial radio station then. And that's how I was able to produce all the podcasts and do all that sort of stuff. From there, I'd be going back in on weekends and weeknights after work. Like I'd be listening to your mainstream music and whatnot, but then afterwards I'd be going in and doing my own thing. So that's how I got it to sound semi-pro.
Wow.
That's rad. That's very rad. I mean, and I suppose that there's, a fair bit of transferable skills there as well between doing radio and trying to do make like coherent podcasting and getting that to work well. And it would have prepared you. So were you doing like much in the way of the like running the sound side of things at the radio that you were?
Yeah, I was a radio producer, so that's what I was doing. I was making all like the commercials, the promos, doing a little bit of on-air work, which was funny. Sort of looking back, like I was, back announcing songs and stuff that I really hadn't listened to or heard because, like, I didn't really rate the music, but I loved the job, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's how I was sort of able to, get the skills together. And I'm rusty on it now because I was made redundant, Beer Buddy, like you were talking about a little bit earlier off air there. I was made redundant from the radio station. I've sort of gone my separate ways, but continued to sort of do this. That happened in 2020 with the whole COVID thing.
Oh, wow. Man, you wouldn't think that hit radio that hard. Like, considering, like, especially the way technology is these days, it's like most of you probably would have been able to work from home.
Exactly right. Yeah, I think it was just a case of, they wanted to clear out the stock a little bit, and I was coming up to having worked there for quite a number of years, and I was going to be eligible to, long service leave and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Can't let you have that. Can't let you have that.
No, can't let you have that sort of thing. So yeah,
can't let you have what you're entitled to. Like, that'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it? I mean, what are we expecting employers to honor contracts now?
Yeah, capitalism is awesome.
Yeah, so they used the whole COVID thing as a thing to clear the books a little bit, like, but it's all good. Like, it ended up in a better place, and here I am now, like, still doing the same thing, and technology's moved on. Like you were talking about, Beer Buddy, you went from doing like a lot of phone interviews and that sort of stuff to doing a lot like what we're doing now, like via StreamYard and whatnot, which is heaps cooler because you get to see the people and that sort of thing, which is cool.
And that's the best part about it. I mean, now, like, you don't even need publishers. You can just put it straight up on YouTube. It just goes up there. It's done. As long as you sort of tiptoe within their guidelines a little bit. If you stay well within them, you're good for the algorithm. But if you're not there for the algorithm and you're just there for the content, you can do what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
To a degree.
No.
To a degree.
Yeah, I guess. There's always that fine line, isn't there?
Well, that
There
you
is.
know, we wouldn't be humans if we didn't try and find it and maybe press it a little bit.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, we're like, you know, Kyle and I are like metalheads going way back. You're obviously a big fan of a lot of underground and a lot of ground rap music that can be very boundary pushing at times. I don't think any of us are the type to not, push the boundaries a little bit and see what we can get away with.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be
So
fair, nothing actually sustains me more than watching as what we would perceive as normies becomes extremely uncomfortable by what I love. I love every second of it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. You
it's
definitely live
great.
for it. It's a passion thing, isn't it?
It is. It is. You don't get it. Hey, you don't pick a niche market like this if you don't love it.
Exactly. There's not many, like I used to get a lot of comments and stuff like, "Oh, I can't believe you get up at 4 or 5 in the morning to get up and do that." Like, and it's purely for a love thing because you're not making a lot of money out of it, but because of time differences and that sort of thing. Yeah, I found myself often setting the alarm for 3 in the morning and whatnot, and to get up to interview people in the States and wherever.
Yep. It's
Yeah,
got to be done.
that's it. I mean, yeah, we've done a few international ones, not too many, I think, but last year we had a half a dozen or so, which was really cool.
It was.
Yeah.
Got to interview Eric from Magic Ninja. Much love to
Yeah.
Eric there.
Yeah.
He was great.
him.
He's been busy lately. I've been keeping up with him on the socials. He's been doing a couple of shows. He's been
Yeah.
booked for a couple of festivals. Big shout out to you, Eric,
Yep.
man.
Yes,
Seriously.
big shout out to Eric. He'll be performing at and around Astronomicon that's coming up soon. He's got his new album that's I think just come out as well. Go and check that out. Scales. It's out on
Yeah.
it's under Insane E on all the various platforms. Much love
Yeah,
to you
in
there, Eric.
May, I think. I think in May is
May
when
it's
that
coming
drops.
out. Okay.
Yeah, it's just So
Okay,
not
well
too
it's
far
coming
away
soon.
though. Yeah,
It's coming
definitely.
soon. Keep an eye out on it for sure. It'll be one you want to check out. Yeah, look, that was great. Like I got to meet Eric when I went to Astronomicon last year, and he was straight away. As soon as I mentioned I'd come from Australia to be there, he was like, "What? You came from Australia? Let me sign one of these coloring books for you. My Juggalo coloring books here. Have that. If you need anything all weekend, you just let me know. I'll
Really?
got you sorted. Yeah. And
Yeah.
he was great. He was so friendly, so welcoming. As was everyone really. I mean, and since we're talking about it there as well, you not only do the Underground podcast, but you are also I don't know what your official title is with it, but you're also sort of running Magic Ninja Australia merch website or whatever it's. I don't know what
Yeah.
it's officially labeled as, but yeah, you're sort of helping to keep that ticking over down here so we can get some of the Magic Ninja stuff without paying exorbitant international shipping
Oh, yeah, and the
rates.
shipping prices are crazy too, and I think that sort of all ties into when I first met you because you were either were you Bub 1 or Bub 2? I don't like when you were working with Kid Crusher back in, like, the shows that we did with Blaze and Boondocks. Do you remember? Like
So I did it was Brisbane and Sydney first, wasn't it? They were the first two
Yeah.
shows. Yeah, so I did those two. So I came up
Yes.
and I did Brisbane, and then I did the Sydney one, and then Rax did Melbourne, and was there Adelaide? I don't know if there was Adelaide, but
Yeah,
he
there's
did
Melbourne,
Melbourne at
Adelaide.
least.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And then Beer Buddy. So Fitz, who's my buddy that was running this tour with us, we started calling them, as mature dudes would, B1 and B2 because they were
100%.
Bub the zombie sort of thing. So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
But yes, that's how I formed Magic Ninja Australia after doing that tour. I sort of kept in contact with George and the boys there at M&E, and it was basically the idea was to try and get Twisted out here. And keep the ball rolling and hopefully build the label a lot more out here, sort of thing. And it's sort of, like what you were saying, it's been good. Like I quite often get their merch and that sent with all their new releases and just make it a little bit cheaper for fans out here to get it because you're looking at crazy prices. Like you buy a CD and it's 3 times the amount of that on just postage alone.
Yeah,
Has
and
there
look,
ever-
and let's be clear. Let's be clear. That's not on the Magic Ninja guys or anything. That's on the shipping companies and all that shit. So that's
Yeah,
we want to just
definitely.
make that clear. Like we're not putting that on Magic Ninja at all. That's on the shipping companies. But it's a great it's great that you got that set up there and you're able to try and sort that out. And you know, I mean, I know I think you've couple of times I've ordered stuff. I think you've even hooked me up with some cheeky extras as well,
Hey.
for some stuff. So I appreciate you for that for sure.
Man, at the end of the day, look, you got to keep doing that. That's just what keeps the customers coming back.
Yeah, well, that's
A
exactly
little
right.
sticker here and there that they might not have ordered, or you know, just a little bit of the carrot. Dangle the carrot.
Yeah, and like what you were saying there, Raf, like it's definitely not on those guys because those guys are all about it. Like they're sending it out to me, so they're only paying one lot of postage, and I'm sending it out for basically cost, and half the time losing money on it because we have that, you know, standard $15 shipping regardless of what you're sending out. So if you get big packages, you lose a bit here and there, but yeah, it's been good. It's been a fun sort of process, but it definitely keeps you busy.
I imagine it would. And like, you know, the thing is as well, like, I mean, let's you know, real talk for a minute. You know, like I feel like, you know, we're here to be honest. We're not here to you know, to bullshit anyone about anything. I think it's, and I mean, the fact that it was like 9 years ago now, so I think it's you know, no one's going to get offended if I say it. That Underground Assault tour, I think it's fair to say the numbers were not quite what were hoped for.
Oh no, definitely
For
not.
that
Like
tour.
you know that. Yeah, that's fair. That's an absolutely fair call. Like at the end of the day, we were coming off the Insane Clown Posse tour in 2013, I think it was, and they were sold out shows every one.
Yeah.
Um, or pretty much every one. And I was like thinking, okay, so ICP sold out. Surely we can bring over Blaze and Boondocks and get at least half the numbers out here because they're basically the exact same fan base. But yeah, it just wasn't the case. I'm not sure why. That's, you know, in hindsight, you'd probably do things differently, but you know, it was good for making those connections and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, that one was a fair old.
Yeah,
All the
and again,
juggalos blew all their money on Fago, face paint, and the ICP tickets. That's.
I mean,
Yeah,
look,
later.
and again, like I'm not putting the blame sort of on anyone specifically for that. It was probably a number of factors that led to it that were out of people's control. And maybe it's because I'm in the scene and in the community. Like I saw plenty of posts about it and promotion for it, so I don't think it was under promoted. People knew about it.
Yeah.
I think it was just a number of different factors that were kind of out of a lot of people's control.
Was it really close to the ICP one?
Oh no, it was 2 years later. So.
Oh,
couple of years,
okay.
but I think part of it may have been the fact that it was like that Boondocks was on it again. So people, I'm not, you know, Boondocks is great. He's amazing. Like I'll go and see him as many times as I fucking can, right? Because incredible performance. But I think for some people, it's like, okay, well, but I've seen him.
Yeah.
You know, like I've seen him already. So what was that? And I think at the time as well, like when did they split?
Yeah,
like,
I think
when did Twisted split from?
It's interesting you bring that up. I think that had a lot to do with it too, maybe. So the split, they started in 2013, Magic Ninja Entertainment, so it's just sort of gone 10 years.
Okay, yeah.
But the whole like divide or whatever didn't happen for a little bit after. I think that could have cost it a little bit.
People were still divided for it.
Yeah, I think they still are to this day, and you know,
Which is dumb. It's dumb. Like I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I think if people are like going, okay, I'm not going to listen to this music that I like because that band isn't on the same label as the other band that I like anymore. It's dumb shit, right? It's like the people that go, oh, I'm gonna like boycott Nike by like destroying these shoes I paid $300 for. You've already paid. Like, don't. That's not a boycott. Like, if you want to destroy them in protest, that's one thing.
You light the factory on fire. Don't do that.
You've already paid for your expensive shoes. Like, why? You know, people just they're depriving themselves of a lot of cool shit.
It's bizarre, man. Like I could talk about this topic all day, though, Raph. Like, and Beer Buddy, like music that you grew up on for 10 years or whatever. All of a sudden, you're like, oh no, I don't like that anymore because someone doesn't, because they had a falling out amongst each other. So I no longer like that music. Like I still like both sides, and I've worked with Twisted and that for 10 years. And nothing's ever been like, I remember when I was at Astronomicon in 2018, it was around about the same time Juggalo Day was on, and they're going, go to Juggalo Day, you'll have the best time. Like, they're encouraging me to go. So there was nothing like that on their side of things, which was interesting as well. But you're probably right. The divide costed a bit. I hope in terms of the tour I'm talking here, we spent a lot of money on promo. So we were devastated. I'll never forget, I got to Brisbane and we'd sent them all these posters and stuff that they were asking for, the people at the venues. And we literally got there and they just had them sitting there and never had taken them out of the boxes. I'll never forget that. It was just,
see, my weird thing, like, so we're bringing up the whole ICP thing. Look, at the end of the day, everyone loves a good beef. What's the biggest beef in rap with the ICP?
Then versus Eminem.
Man, why does everyone who isn't Juggalo affiliated or doesn't like that kind of music know who ICP is? Because of Eminem. Like, so you probably had that working in their favor as far as the Australian market went as well.
Yeah, possibly.
But
like,
I mean, because I didn't know,
they got a big audience. They got a big audience.
They do. But
and
you're
the
talking,
fan base is very dedicated. So
yeah,
they are. But
it's a cool fan base.
I don't know, Nate, if I ever told you this. You might know that I was Bubs for Kid Crusher when he supported ICP in 2013 in Sydney.
I'm not sure I did know that. I was at that show though.
Yeah, okay. So I was Bub Zombie at that show, but I also got to be on stage as one of the Fago clowns with ICP.
That's cool. That is really cool right there, man.
So it was. So around about that time, I was still like mates with a lot of the like Sydney Juggalos people, used to hang around with those guys. And we did Kid Crusher's set. I was out the front watching, I think Big Hoodoo was up next. Yeah. So it might have been around the end of his set or the start of Boondocks, I think. And Kid Crusher I'm just like hanging with the Sydney Juggalos people in the front. Kid Crusher comes out, he kind of grabs me and he's like, "Hey, do you want to be a Fago clown for ICP?" And I'm like, "How is that even a question, bro? Like,
that's cool.
Of course I want to do." So it was him, and because they'd asked him, but he didn't want to do it. He was like, "I'm too fucking." He was like, "Look, I'm too tired. I want, I just want to enjoy the rest of the show." So he come and grabbed me and was like, also needed another person. So I hate myself for not remembering, but one of the other friends from the Sydney Juggalos thing, like they all came as well. So like we went backstage and we kind of did that. It was just during the Fago breaks when they had the extra clowns come out.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, they just gave us these like bedazzled fucking jumpsuits and these clown masks, and they're like, right, when the Fago break hits, you go out, just don't spray the guys, don't spray each other, just grab it, spray the crowd, and then when it finishes, whatever you've got left, just throw it out and be done. So yeah, got to go out and do that, and then again at the end of the show when they kind of do that Fago Armageddon at the end during Bang Pow Boom, was up there for that as well, doing it. So yeah, that wasn't the first time I did Bub Zombie for Kid Crusher, but it was actually one of the first times, and I was like,
that's fucking crazy,
pretty blown away. So I think it might have been, if I remember rightly, I think it was the third time I'd done it, because I did two shows with him, I think, at Baldface Stag in Sydney.
Oh wow!
One of which was when he supported Hobson, actually.
Okay,
as well.
Christ, the Stag.
Did that one. Oh, man, it was packed. Like that Hobson
show.
The
Stag had a Juggalo show. The Stag had
no. So okay, the Stag put on Hobson, it was just like rap, just more like kind of straight rap hip hop stuff. Kid Crusher was the support act.
That is fucking mental to me.
And but that was like I think that was the second time I was Bub Zombie for him. that was the Hobson show. And then I think the third time, yeah, was that ICP show. But yeah, so yeah, I was up there on that one, which was pretty cool.
That's just amazing. That blows my mind because I would have been up there with you there, Raph, because I jumped up on the Fago Armageddon. Obviously not
Nice.
you were, but I think Casey ended up being one of those clown Fago guys in Perth. I think
Perth, probably, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, not in Sydney. I'm sure he told me that.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, it's lots of fun. Like
crazy, man.
And what happened to the Sydney Juggalo crew, by the way? Like you're talking about.
That's what I'm interested in.
So, well, look, I mean, I don't know, like I kind of drifted apart from most of them in terms of just like life getting in the way and not being able to make it to stuff. I still do talk to like one or two of them, but yeah, for the most part, I think, you know, there was just sort of like, you know, I just kind of drifted apart from them. I guess that's about
Are
really
they
what happened there.
still about though, or what's the go there? Because I actually went to their site. I don't even know why recently. Like it would have been the last few weeks or something. They haven't advertised anything or done anything since that show back in 20.
I mean, I think I think that as a group they kind of it was really unfortunate because like Tice was a huge part of
He was a great
organizing
dude,
everything. He was like, you know, he was kind of the driving force behind a lot of it. And I think when he, you know, unfortunately passed away, it was never really the same.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people after that. And, you know, people, they did try and keep it going, but it got, I think people just kind of didn't feel the same way about it. And, you know, groups drift apart. This kind of things happens, you know, unfortunately. But, yeah, I have no idea what's going on with most of them.
Yeah, because that was a kind of a cool time.
Yeah, it was. It was like it was really good, and it really was helpful for the community in terms of organizing events and stuff like that. And you know, like I met most of them at when I went to see. Yeah, it was like it was through them that I actually found like Kid Crusher.
Oh, really? There you go.
Yeah, because there was a gig that like I started talking with Socks at a zombie march, Sydney Zombie March.
Okay, cool.
And back in like 2010, I think it must have been 2010 thereabouts, and maybe 2009 or something. But yeah, I like saw him because he had obviously, you know, he had his Hatchet Man shirt on, and we kind of got talking from that. And he was like, "Oh man, you know about Sydney Juggalos?" I'm like, "Nah, man, what's that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it was this group. Like we got a forum and everything. Like here's the details, blah blah blah." So you know, kind of got through them, and then there was a gig. They're like, yeah, this Kid Crusher gig, like you got to come and check this out. And it was at Parramatta in like that sort of underground spot right next to the train station.
The Parramatta Hotel. That's the old Parramatta Hotel.
Yeah, where Club used to be and everything down there in the underground part.
They used to have the Mad Arcade thing down there. Like they used to have the video games and so Parramatta Hotel.
Yeah. So it was like
good old days.
I went to that, and it was like Kid Crusher was the main act, and there was also now I'm really having to think back. I think it was Bald Headed Nasties was one of the support acts, and Nutcase was the other one.
I was going to say
Nutcase as well. Rest in power, my brother.
That was shattering about him too, man.
Yeah, man. I was so fucking sad when he passed because, like, yeah, he was one of the good ones, man. Like he was making great music, you know, like intellectual music. And he was out there trying to teach the next generation. You know, he was like being a teacher, trying to influence young minds and inspire them. And yeah, man, it's hard, man, when it comes around. It really is.
Yeah, no, it definitely
is. I miss that guy a lot.
It's so weird. It's like when you look at it, the Juggalo sort of scene is a lot like in rap is what the sort of masked bands and the face painting bands and what sort of metal are. Where
a little bit
where they look, it's more visual. I'm talking about the more visual aspect of it, where when you look at these people, you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? But when you actually talk to these people, they're very deep.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Yes.
mean? They may spit some shit and really have an issue with the world, but there's actual thought that goes into the lyrics and the content and what they're trying to put forward. So
Yeah, no,
yeah, I love rap.
Yeah, me too, beer buddy. And I always thought you were just an old school metalhead there, Raph. I didn't realize that you were even. I thought like, the Kid Crusher stuff was just sort of a side gig for you. But were you into the music as well, sort of thing on the rap and underground sort of things?
I mean, bro, look, ever since I was in primary school, I was always into music. Like music.
Yeah.
It kind of didn't matter what. It was like just music. I always like enjoyed it, felt a connection to it. And yeah, like when I kind of discovered heavy metal, it was like, oh, okay, this kind of hits different to a lot of that other stuff. And
Yeah.
I went through a phase of like, oh, I can only listen to metal. Like I can't
The
listen to anything
gatekeeper,
else.
the teenage gatekeeper.
The teenage gatekeeper,
We all did it. I
and
did it.
and but when I kind of got out, but there's always been like, yeah, like I've always had an interest in a broad range of music, like and metal and rap kind of I tend to feel like I get the most enjoyment out of those. But
Yeah, same.
I like fucking pop music. I like some like dubstep and some fucking techno shit and whatever. About the only genre that I kind of don't. I gotta say the only genre I don't really like is country, but there is some country that I like as well,
Yeah.
and it's
Get out of
Not
here.
the new Beyonce song. I don't like that new Beyonce
No.
song. That is just like such low hanging fruit. No.
No, I don't like this new fucking uh like faux country bullshit where they're like it's like country, but they're in like a cap with this fucking truck that it doesn't ever looks like it's seen a speck of dust in its life.
Yeah.
And they're like
First-
rapping and basically being like the country version of rappers. And I'm just like, guys, what are you fucking doing? Like you've never seen a farm in your life.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
are you this is not like, yeah, you got the twang, but it's not like real country is like punk rock. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like real country. And you look back and you see like, honestly, it really is like a hard line. Pre 9/11, country was very, very left wing, very, very progressive for the most part. Almost entirely fell into that side of it, right? Post 9/11, it basically became patriotism 101.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't
And
like you got a broader mind than me there, Raph. I wouldn't even know what you're talking about there because I just sort of live in my own little bubble. Like I can honestly say I wouldn't even know who's big in country, like Troy Cassadaly, and that's about it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You know what? Dude, you got to check out some Chris
Aussie country is
Stapleton.
different as well.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Aussie country hits different, man. It's like
Yeah.
there's
boys from
we've
the
talked
bush.
about this. We've talked about this on the podcast.
we ain't got
a
guns.
couple
We
of
ain't got
times
guns to
previously,
sing
like,
about.
we
Yeah,
because of Australia's physical and commercial isolation, and the fact that America is just such a huge global influence in music and culture in general, it
Yeah.
tends to come a lot from there rather than going across. And the same with Europe. Like Europe tends to, there's a lot of stuff here. So, but we have, because of this isolation, and because most people that go into music in Australia, I think most people that go into music in Australia, eventually, after a little while, they kind of like, if they don't admit that they're never going to like make it on to be like international rock stars and things like that. Once they kind of hit that, they're like, oh, okay, there's no like worrying about selling out or anything. Like I can just do what I want to do, be more pure with the art of it. And that's led to, in like we talked about it on the podcast before, like that Aussie kind of prog metal sound.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very unique. Like that Aussie hardcore metal, that Aussie post-hardcore metalcore sound that bands like Parkway Drive kind of took in that period and took it out to the rest of the world. And
Northlane doing
and
it
did
now.
that, and Northlane doing
Yeah,
it now.
for sure.
And I think you can look at most genres of music. Like think about it, right? Think about that late 90s Aussie pop music. right? Like think about what like Natalie Imbruglia was doing. Like
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
and you know, all those kind of all her peers at the time, like that was Australian, very distinctly Australian sound about a lot of that.
mm,
Um, and I think there is a. I'm not trying to be pretentious when I say there's a bit more purity to the art of it, but I think you know that's kind of how I feel about it because there's just this mentality of well, if whenever the chances of us making it anyway are so slim. Uh, the fact there's so many factors against us that if we're going to make it, we may as well make it doing what we want.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so there's no desire or pressure to sell out or sound like what the trendy sound is. You just do what you want to fucking do. You know, and look, maybe I've been fortunate. Maybe that is there, and I've just been fortunate not to be exposed to it. I don't know, but that's kind of the way I feel about it.
Man, I've been lucky enough to have one country music singer on my channel on Beer Buddy, Ben Ransom. Nicest dude ever. Worked with my wife. That's how I got the interview. Dude, busy. You want to be busy? Become a good country music singer because you
Regional,
do
regional shows will
regional,
never run out.
man. Regional shows is where it's at. Like
Mm.
those, like what are they called? B&B balls. Bar the
Yeah, Bachelor and Spinchler, whatever they're called. I know the
yeah,
ones you're talking.
yeah. Like there's a reason why they have their own fucking award ceremony. There is a
Country
reason
mu-
why
yeah.
there is a country music awards. They're all the way over there and they can do what the fuck they want, and everyone else, you go over here and you all get judged together. Country music goes do your own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid point.
So
And
let's
we're
just
so fucking spaced out. We actually have country. It's
Yeah.
not like it, no
Yes,
offense
we
to
have a lot of
Americans
country
out
too.
there. You all don't know what country is. You drive 20 minutes, you can go through a state. You
Yep.
ain't doing that in Australia.
not unless you're in Canberra. Uh,
Doesn't count.
so
Territory.
just going back onto the podcast there, mate. So you've had a lot of very cool guests on over the years.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know sometimes the stuff that you break on your interviews makes it to you know broader underground media like news websites as well. I've seen like Fago Lovers has done some reporting on, you know, they tend to cover pretty much a lot of underground rap, and I can see some of your stuff that you've done on the interviews has gotten shouted out there as well. But
Yeah.
you've also done you also do some metal interviews as well, right? Like you've
Yeah,
spoken to some
definitely.
metal people, metalheads and stuff, and some metal bands for your podcast too. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like it's like you were saying before, it's both metal and rap for me, sort of thing. And I'm sort of find myself like interviewing a lot of the upcoming bands and tours we have. You've got the Cold Chamber T-shirt on there. I had
Yes.
Des on. That was so,
fresh as fuck.
Oh,
Cold
yeah, I
Chamber
love that,
shirts.
man. I got the tour shirt. It's very cool. But I had Des on, and he was one of the coolest people ever. And I talked to him about the ICP and you know Cold Chamber thing with Sharon Osbourne back in the day. Do you boys remember that? Like,
I have heard about the
vaguely.
Sharon Osbourne beef. Not so I didn't realize Cold Chamber was connected with it, but
it was all
I know
about
that.
Cold Chamber is because they were touring together and ICP didn't want Cold Chamber on the same show as them and had them kicked off. And then Sharon Osbourne went crazy and because she was their manager at the time. So I just got Dez's perspective of it. But what you're talking about there, it's been crazy how some of the mainstream, like, well, I guess mainstream metal sites and that have picked up things that I've spoken like with Chad Gray of Mudvayne. I had him on and he said to me like, you know, all new bands sound the same. Next minute, like I see this, it's popping up on like, you know, the Metal Sucks and a couple of other of those massive sites. And it's got like quotes from my interview and then you open it up and yeah, there it is with me and whatever. So it's been cool in that sense. I did the same thing with Tony Campos when I had him on and, you know, talking about making new Static X albums. A couple of times, I can't even remember some of the names of these things. It's just wild you never know who's watching or listening, I guess, is what I'm trying to say there. Like it's
That's
a
the
few times.
beauty of the internet, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
but
really
it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because then they can take your video, edit it the way they want.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of
So so a question about that then. So you don't sort of once you do these interviews with kind of these bigger names, especially, like,
Yeah.
you don't sort of take note of specific stuff that might be newsworthy and then like send it off to these places for them to, be
No.
like, oh, so they said this, or like, they implied this, or try and clickbait headline stuff and get things out or anything like that. You just do it,
No.
and if these people find it, they find it.
I actually don't do anything like that. Exactly what you just said. If they find it, they find it, sort of thing. Because I don't have. It's like I'm very much a one man army. Everything that you see with the underground, it's just me, and then I have a guy that I've met through the internet. He'll help me out with my videos. Ill Fortune, big shout outs to him. He's very cool. And then my buddy Fitzy, who does my website stuff. But everything else, like as far as social media, interviews, and all that sort of stuff is all me. So I don't have time to sort of chop that off and send them off to places. It's just bizarre. Like they must listen through, like, oh, this guy's done an interview with Chad Gray or whatever, and find something cool and do that themselves. I guess it's their full-time job or whatever, and they've got time to do it. Like that's all I can think of, because I've never hit anyone up from any of those sites.
It's very cool though that you get that there's people that are at least paying enough attention to what you're doing to find those things there.
Yeah, it's got like Maniacs picked up that Chad Gray one as well too. Like Maniacs is Roadrunner or whatever, same thing. My buddy sent me a thing. He goes, they're quoting you on Maniacs. I'm like, get out of here, man. That's crazy. So it's all stuff like that.
Means you're moving in the right direction. If people are picking up what you're putting down, it means everything that you're doing is right. You don't even need to do the work. The channel, the traffic's being brought straight to you.
Yeah, I suppose, man. But like, I don't know. It's like you're far from making it. Like, I think this will forever be a hobby sort of thing. Like, the cool stuff like that happens, but I'm still not, anywhere near where I'd like to be with it, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I'd like to be able to do what they're doing and, put on successful tours. Like, at this stage of my life, I would have liked to have been running the underground as a business, putting on shows, doing that sort of thing, having a great sort of media outlet, but it just hasn't eventuated like that. But definitely cool things, like you're saying, Beer Buddy. Like, it is cool in that sense.
It's awesome, man.
So I mean, okay, so let's head into the first segment here that we've got.
I'm interested. I'm very interested because there's not a musician this week. So
yeah.
I'll
tweak the questions a little bit for the next part. But when you're ready, Kyle, if you could hit the
let's do it. I'm gonna hit it. Boom.
That you
Quick question quarter.
You could do so.
We're back.
And we're back. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, as you would have just seen the cutaway, it is time for the quick question quarter, spelt with Q's and not K's, because we don't roll like that.
Hell no.
So, as I mentioned there, we have our guest today is we're having him on for his podcast stuff. But I suppose, like, I may have misspoken there. Are you a musician in as a hobby or anything?
I'm not.
No,
I'm
okay.
Just a fan.
All right, cool. Well, I will tailor the quiz accordingly then.
But good on you for giving back to the community that gives you so much.
Yeah, thank you, man.
That's it though. Like, like Kyle and I, like, we've both, like, I'm still doing it. Kyle used to do the band thing, and we're just like, we're so passionate about it, much like yourself. We want to try and find more ways to get involved with it and contribute to it and give back with it. And that's why we do the podcast, because we literally just want to talk to people that we know about music and the fun shit that goes with it, because we just love it so much.
Yeah, you mean
right.
people through music.
Absolutely. So, we'll skip the first question, but the second question that we would normally land on is, what was the first album that you purchased?
The first album I purchased, I believe, we're throwing way back, Live Throwing Copper, I'm pretty sure, was my first album.
Ooh,
wow. Those guys, early 90s.
Wow.
Yep. Can you hear the dolphins cry?
See the road rise up to me.
I'm sorry. Great music. Great
sorry.
music. Dumbest band name ever.
Yes.
Man, you know what I want to know? Why did everyone in the 90s feel the need to roll their vowels so hard? Can you
That's
feel
what it
the
was.
dolphin? Yeah. Just
That's
so
what it
much
was, man. It was the
emphasis.
style.
Solid
The
but
90s was
and
the best
it's a
time for me,
first.
but
Yep, I don't think we've had anyone say live
Nope.
before. But I think in terms of the vowel thing, mate, I think it was like coming out of the 80s and the glam stuff. Everything was there was a lot of over pronunciation in certain in a lot of areas in that, especially in rock music and glam rock. It was like it was all big. So there was a lot of mumbling in rock music through the 90s.
Nah, blame Metallica.
Between grunge
hey,
and rock music
yeah,
and everything.
Yeah, here I go now. I'm Thunderer. I blame Metallica.
Mate, actually, speaking of Metallica, you know what I was reminded about today that I had it had completely slipped from my mind. In like 2002, when Metallica and Ja Rule did a song together.
They
What?
did. They
I
fucking
don't
did.
Do y'all remember that?
No.
They did. Okay, they did a song. Metallica and Ja Rule did a song. I think it may have been for a movie soundtrack or something. And the song's called like "We Did It" or "We Did It Again."
Was that for the
And
Jet
it
Li
is
movie
like
or some junk?
it might have been. It might have been. And it was like it is so like cringy early 2000s. Like yeah, when we're done here and it like go and listen to it. And if you're watching the podcast, please, once you finish watching the podcast, go and fucking find the song. I don't think it'll be on streaming platforms. You might have to look up a video on YouTube
Oh
or
no,
something.
no, it is on YouTube. It's on YouTube. We did it again.
Loaded it
Metallica,
up.
Swiss Beats, Ja Rule.
Yep. And Swiss Beats, I forgot, was involved with that too, because Swiss Beats has done a bunch of cool shit since then as well. But yeah, I'd completely forgotten about that until I was watching a video today where I got reminded of it, and I immediately went to listen to it, and I'm like, yes, okay, now I remember this fucking song.
Okay, I think the world should forget about it.
Goes in the same pile as Lulu. What was the first live concert that you attended?
Oh man, I reckon. Do you guys remember Test Eagles?
Wow.
It sounds
Turn
familiar.
that shit up. No, they were an Adelaide band. They were very cool. I saw them way back in the day. Pretty cool sort of band. I think it may have been Test Eagles or.
No, it's Test Eagles. Test Eagles are a rock band, three-piece rock band from South Australia in 1994.
Yeah, it would have been in the late 90s that I saw them.
Yeah, Maddie, Adrian, and Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Check them out later. I think you guys will like them.
Dude, they're technically new metal. I'm checking that shit out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do it. That's all very cool. The first sort of metal band was Fear Factory, though. I saw them, they were very, very cool. Like the actual international Fear Factory, like that was very, very cool. Yes, Test Eagles when I was a teenager.
Are you catching Fear Factory on the tour? Have you?
Oh man, we were going to. I was going to take my son along to see them, but then he was on a school camp, so we couldn't. And I just said, we'll hit up the next one. But we did send a photographer along there, and he's taken some snaps. Big shout outs to Digital Beard Photography. So they're going to be all over our website.
Awesome. Yeah, go and bookmark that. Go and look up. Go and find the Underground on socials. We'll have some links all over the place for it. We'll tag it in the Facebook post on our page for this thing, and check out all the cool photos from that shit and some of Ned's interviews with all sorts of cool people. Like I listen to, look, I'll be honest, I don't listen to all of them, but I do get around to listening to some of them there, and like I definitely heard the one you did with Chad was fucking amazing. That was so good. Like I caught the Brisbane show on the Mudvayne Cold Chamber tour.
Nice. Yeah.
I was at the barrier. The whole show was amazing. I was right in front of Ryan for most of Mudvayne's set. I was on that side of the stage, so I was just trying to carefully watch his hands for the fucking techniques and shit, and I couldn't figure nothing out. But yeah, man, the new Fear Factory thing is really fucking good.
Yeah, I like it too. And the new Bird and Sea Bell song, have you guys heard that? Or did I see you do a reaction video or something?
Yeah, we did.
We did do a reaction. We did do a reaction to it. We're a bit iffy on it, to be honest with you. I don't know. It doesn't quite like grab me by the throat.
Yeah.
Like I like my stuff to do, but
there you go. I'm gonna.
Yeah. What did you think?
There was some tight shout outs in there. There was some absolutely, you could clear references to
it was a diss track
and the boys in it.
It was a diss track.
100% diss track.
It's interesting, that's for sure.
Well,
I don't know if you got time to talk about it. What do you think
we
there was
do.
Dino dodgy there, or do you think it was all legit?
I don't think I have the legal mind to comment on that.
I don't want. Yeah, I don't want to say that. It's like maybe if we ever hit up Dino for an interview, this happens to be the one that he goes and watches, and we don't want to say. No, look. I think that if you're in a band with anyone for that amount of time,
Yeah,
there is bound to be personal issues that come up, and when you're doing that as a career, it can be very, very hard to separate business and personal. Like,
yeah,
I've dealt with it on a small fucking scale at the local band level, and shit gets hard. Like, I can't imagine how difficult it must be when it's your career and
yeah.
you
True.
are, you're spending more time with these people than you are your own families. Like, and you're so creatively entangled, and there really is like so much potential for very unhealthy relationships to develop there.
Yeah,
I am amazed that any band makes it past 10 years as a band, to be honest with you, like, because it's just
yeah,
so fucking, it can be so challenging to have that many people on the same page enough to make everything work.
yeah.
So that's my very, very long-winded way of saying no comment. But no,
Yeah,
but
no
I can,
comment from me either. I was
but
just
I can understand that when you've been doing that, when you've been doing in a business that's that personal at that level for that amount of time, I'm not surprised that issues came to a head and couldn't be resolved to the point where they could continue on with the band together. Is
I
it
will
would it be
go.
cool to see them resolve it and come back together and continue it on as that? Absolutely. But things kind of are what they are.
yeah,
I do, however,
yeah,
think it was whoever wanted it more was going to spend the more money on trying to drag it through the courts for longer. Straight up,
yeah.
like I will say this though, and I'm going to cop some flack for this. There is a reason
Hang
why
on, let me get off screen while you say.
there is. I'll just say this: there is a reason why Fear Factory is still going so strong without Burton. And there
'Cause
is
they're
a
so
reason
damn
why
good.
it's going still so strong with Dino in the band and why it dropped off when Dino wasn't in the band.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never even thought about that because it has
Like,
been a
we can't, let's just call a spade a spade. Fear Factory is
I
still
mean,
thriving without Burton. They're still, they're still
the
packing out, like, there's still this, and Burton is just, at what it seems to be at the moment, is being pissed off in the corner saying fuck you to Fear Factory. But in saying that, it is a very big flip of the bird for Dino to be playing off an album that was pretty much a fuck you to Dino,
to him.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
playing those same songs on the album. So regardless, I don't think there are any real winners in this situation. I think there are only losers. But the only real winners of this are the current members of Fear Factory.
Well, yeah, that's well said too. Apparently, the Milo guy, I was reading somewhere that Fear Factories never sound better with him on vocals, which is a crazy thing to say. I'm really shattered I didn't get to go see him. Did you guys get
I
to see
didn't
it?
get
Like,
to.
I'm just trying to remember if I ever got to see Fear Factory with Burton. I might have at a music festival
Did you see
at some
Korn?
point.
Did
I
you
can't
see
remember.
Korn with Sunk Loto and
No,
Disturbed? No? Okay.
no.
They played that night.
But I did get to see the new Fear Factory lineup. Funnily enough, it was about a year ago when I was in the US.
oh, you've seen it.
Because
There you go.
yeah, I went
Oh, the Static
to
X. I remember that. I followed this man on
yes,
Facebook. I was very jealous.
I went to see So well, you know what though, the main reason I went to that show was Twisted. The main reason I went to that show was Twisted because I'm like, yep, I'm going to Astronomicon, but is there any other shows they're playing that I can go and see them at?
Yeah.
I saw they had the Cincinnati one where I had a gap in the thing, so I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go to that. And it just so happens to be the Rise of the Machine tour with Fear Factory and Static X on it, which so that was very cool though. I got to see that because that was super early. Like that was only a couple of months, I think, after they'd revealed who the new vocalist was.
Yeah.
So everyone was very, very eager to see how it would go live. And look, he sounds incredible. Look, when I saw them, my understanding is that he was mainly been a YouTuber and done
Yeah.
smaller stuff prior to getting involved with Fear Factory. So I did get the sense that he was a little bit unsure of himself in terms of stage presence and crowd engagement and crowd control.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of the crew, who, like, I mean, you've got Dino, you had Tony on bass and everything. Like, those guys are absolute veterans. They've been doing it for fucking longer than most of us have been alive. Like, it's, so compared to them at the time, I felt it was. And look, if maybe it was just because I've been a performer myself that I picked up certain things. I don't know, but the IT guy at my current job went to see the recent show in Brisbane, and I actually asked him about it. I'm like, how was his stage presence? He's like, not a problem. Was absolutely crushing it.
Really? Yeah.
Absolutely had the crowd in the palm of his hand. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, and
That's a
been
practice
bringing
thing,
that.
though.
And exactly, like, you're never going to get that just without the reps. So
Mm.
having the reps that he's had over the last year or so, he's obviously improved on that a lot, which is great. Like, I'm glad to see that he's been able to do that.
And that purely comes from validation too. Validation boosting
Yeah.
your ego. Oh, can you imagine that first night where you played at that packed out show and the whole crowd's just like screaming their tits off and you just nailed it. You nailed every bit of it.
Yeah.
Oh, my dick would have grown dick would have grown this big. Oh,
Well, they do call him the Italian Stallion. So,
there you go.
See, Madrox was on the stage with them too. Did you see that, Raph?
No, what?
Yeah, because I was talking with George, and he said that Dino invited Madrox to go out on stage with him, and there's footage of it somewhere on one of those stops because they did that whole tour, and he was rocking out. That's my dream right there. Like, that's so cool. Twisted and Fear Factory.
Yeah. Well, the really cool thing though was getting to see Twisted twice during my trip. Right, I got to see him at Astronomicon, which was a very rap focused set. So it was just them on stage with the backing tracks and whatever. So it was very, very rap heavy. On the Rise of the Machine tour, they had drummer and they had guitarist, and they were doing a bit more of their rock. They were doing more of their rock focused kind of material,
That's cool.
which was super cool because there was a lot of songs that they didn't do at Astronomicon that they did at the Rise of the Machine tour. Like, I got to see him do Magic Spells, which was really, really cool, and just a bunch of just the more rock focused stuff that they kind of weren't doing at Astro, which was great.
That's so cool. And how did the crowd take that? Just real quickly, I'd love to know, like, because it's been a little bit iffy here and there with, like, obviously the Juggalo scene, but I'm just wondering how Fear Factory and Static X crowd sort of took that.
Well, the good thing was there was another band on prior. I think if Twisted had been the first band on, it may not have been quite as well received, but there was another band on prior to them. A band called Cultus Black, which if you go and check them out, they're very, very cool.
They're not bad.
They've actually just dropped a track with Twisted as well.
Twisted,
so I haven't listened to the track yet. That's my first thing after I get off the podcast. But maybe Kyle, I don't know if you want to do a reaction to it.
We'll do a quick one. I've got to go do some filming after, but we'll do that.
You should do it, be a buddy. I've seen it. It's cool.
We're
I think
do it straight after this.
Yeah, so but they were like paint and masks and shit. So it was like, okay, it was cool. It was definitely a bit different. Like, the crowd was kind of like, at first I think they didn't quite know what to make of it. By the end of the set, they were like, okay, I kind of like, I get it. I do think though, and this is again, like, maybe I'm just picking up on this more from my own experience having done music myself, but something about, I don't know if it was because of the way the backing track, maybe with the way the backing tracks were mastered or whatever, but the mixing between their backing tracks and the live drums and the guitars and the vocals just wasn't quite sitting right.
I hear what you're saying.
Maybe it was where I was stood in the venue. Maybe it was like just the fact that their backing tracks were mastered for like a hip hop style show, whereas the PA system and everything was set up and EQ'd for a metal show. Like, I don't know exactly what it was, but it didn't sit quite as well mix wise as some of the other bands. But like I said, hip hop stuff tends to be a lot more bass heavy, and while bass guitar is an element in metal. Maybe it just the I don't know. There was just something that felt off about the mix with that one, with their thing. But the crowd seemed to dig it. You know, there was plenty of Twisted fans there as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was good. But
And now you hear the
yeah, but
problem
that
with
was super
surrounding
cool.
yourself by music all the time, because every time you go to a show, it's like you overanalyze everything.
Yeah, overanalyze everything. Yeah. But it was really, really cool because, like, I got to meet him very briefly and chat a little bit at Astronomicon with them as well. I did not even realize that the hotel I was staying at was the same one that they were staying at. So, like, the show on the Saturday night finished, and I'm like, cool, all right, that's finished. I'm out. I'm going back to my fucking hotel room to sleep. Got to the hotel, got to the elevators, pressed the button, waiting for the elevators. I hear Big Vin behind me, because I catch kind of his green mohawk in the corner of my vision.
Dustin,
I turn around, Twisted's right behind me. They stood literally right behind me, and I'm just like, oh fuck, like. And during their panel at the end on the last day, you know, I got up and asked a question. As you probably know, like when you get these panels here, they're like, oh, tell us your name and where you're from.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm Raf. I came from Australia. And Paul was like, everyone give it up for this guy. Like, he came for Australia for this shit. And, you know, we got to sort of have a bit of a very brief chats with them there. And then I got the VIP meet and greet with them as well at Cincinnati.
Nice.
So I got to talk to him there. And I'm like, yo, I'm like, you guys need to get out to Australia, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I bet that went down well.
I'm like, you need to, you know, there's lots of fans out there. We really, you know, like everyone back home is super jealous that I'm getting to see you guys. You know, I was not, I don't know. They were very good sports about it, but I'm sure they hear it and see the comments a lot and are sick of hearing it, if I'm being honest. But you know,
yeah, they ain't coming.
No, they were really cool, and they were really cool. And I made sure I was at the back of the meet and greet line, so I kind of like.
You got longer.
A little bit. I didn't want to hold anyone up. You know, initially, I went to the back of the line because I had like a bunch of stuff I was going to ask him to sign. But as I was getting through the line, I overheard Paul had actually broken his right hand. So like he was signing stuff, but it was like his hand was, you know, in quite a bit of pain. So I was like, I'm like, I won't ask him to sign all the shit I wanted him to sign. Then I'll just get like the default stuff they've got there, and
you got bags full of stuff.
don't
not
be
bags,
that guy.
not bags full, but I had like, you know, the little Knuckleheads figures and the fucking pop vinyls, right? I pre-ordered the pop vinyls. They shipped, but they arrived after I'd left.
Oh.
So I couldn't take them with me to get them to sign them, but it was it was what it was. But no, like look, they're all really cool. They remembered like them and fucking Big Vin and George remembered from Astronomicon when I like got up the front. You know, Paul was like, oh, Australia, man, what's up? How you doing, brother? And George was like, oh, you're that guy from Australia that was at Astronomicon, right? I'm like, yeah. Because I was the only Aussie, and so everyone was apparently talking about the fact that there was a fucking Australian at Astronomicon.
Yeah,
like,
of course, yeah.
The only reason why they say that is because every time it's like, would you go to a show? It's like, no fucking way. Do you know how long it takes to fly there? They appreciate how. Yes, I do.
You know, and George was like, oh, did you like go home and then come back for this? I'm like, no, man, I've been going around and everything. But yeah, like shout out to all those guys, man. Like shout out to the whole crew at Magic Ninja Entertainment that puts on Astronomicon and does all that cool shit, because like it's a hell of a time, and I'm very sad I'm not going to get to go to Astronomicon this year. Hopefully in another couple of years, maybe I can go back. Maybe.
Hey, I'm in the same boat, man. I'm in the same boat. I want to go back badly. It's always a difficult time of the year, especially when there's another dude from Australia over there and you're just watching it. That's what last year. I'm like, damn it, he's there.
Everyone from Magic Ninja is like, do you know Ned? I'm like, well, it's a country of, you know, 20 odd million people, but yes, I know Ned.
Shut up. That's racist, but you're right.
I'm like, what? Because all Australians look alike and know each other? Is that what you're trying to say? But yes, I do know Ned. Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, no, man, that was so back to the questions here. Sorry, we got a bit of a thing there.
Love it.
Okay, so okay, here's one. If you were to learn an instrument, what instrument would you want to learn?
Oh, dude. Well, I don't know. It's a long and serious topic here. Like I am not a musician, but I was going to be a musician, and then I was in a car accident, and like
Oh
my left
shit!
hand got injured. So and it's only got 25% use in it, right? So
Oh
before that,
shit!
I tried to play a bass afterwards. I always wanted to be a bass player. That's what I wanted to do. So there's the answer to that question. Long story short.
Oh
That's
man,
it.
I'm so
man,
sorry they got stolen
I'm-
away from you.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, it
really
sucks,
really sorry, bro.
I was 16 when it happened, so it's basically been my whole life. But yeah, all I want to do is be a bass player, and that's another reason why I got on to the radio side of things. I still love music, and I can still be involved in some way. So yeah, definitely bass is what I wanted to do.
Oh, bro, I'm so sorry, man. I hope I know it was a while ago, but like that can't be easy to.
No, it wasn't, but thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Just out of
to deal with,
curiosity,
bro. Like,
why would you want to join that club? I don't know if you know, but nobody likes bases.
shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, mate. All right, look. Here's the thing, right?
Here we go.
Bass players do it deeper.
That's
than
true.
Just about anyone else.
That's true.
So
And you snap the string.
you can-
You can snap strings with your fingers. So ladies,
Watch how
watch out.
rap
Yeah. I busted a fucking B string with these motherfuckers. So you
Yeah,
better watch
ladies,
out, bitch.
watch out.
You better watch out.
What do you
Poke
play?
my eye
Beer
straight
Bucky?
out. Me, I haphazardly try and play these guitars. And
Oh
I
yeah,
have,
I'm looking at it. I've been looking at them the whole time. Sorry.
I,
Yes,
ha-
of
I, ha- I
course.
have a bass. I'm not very good. They're just purely there for decoration. And when nobody's around and I have my headphones in, I play them by myself and fuck it up a lot of the time. So I can't talk. I was a vocalist back in the day. I used to be a vocalist in a metal band. That's how me and Raph run in the same circles. So that was my thing. I can belt out a pretty good scream when I need to. So can my kids. So it turns out it runs in the family.
Yeah,
Hey,
cool.
that's
Love
good.
it.
Fuck, they're loud.
Well, I tell you what, Ned. Even though you're not really in a position to play bass, I will have to try and get you on a track doing something at some stage because
Yeah,
I want to give you that.
The tangerine or something.
I want to give you that at least. I'll get you on some vocals, man. We'll get you on some rhymes or some shit. Like,
Oh man, I don't know. I don't think so.
Hey, nah, because nobody.
Nobody ever.
Don't
I
fuck
didn't
with
think I
Ned.
could. I didn't think I could.
Don't fuck with Ned, because if you fuck with Ned, then you be dead. All right. So, who is a band or an artist that you're listening to at the moment that you think is underrated and deserves more attention?
Dude, this is an easy question, and usually it's not because I love so much music. Like I love it, live for it. But I've been listening to Wind Waker. Do you guys know them?
Oh,
I have heard of the name. I haven't listened to much, but I have heard of the name.
very good.
They call them, I just interviewed the dude Liam on. It was Friday night, so yeah,
mad.
I'm just looking at my schedule. It had, so I had the dude from Skillet on Thursday. Then Friday night was Liam from Wind Waker, and then Sunday, you boys. I love it. It's got two dudes talking music.
Awesome.
But yeah, Wind Waker, they're really cool, and they've just released a 4-track EP called Enter the Wall or something like that, and they've got a video with it called The Wall, and they call themselves hyper pop metal or something like that. It's like some funky thing. They're playing at Knotfest, and they're really, really cool, and I think they're super underrated.
I knew I'd seen the name somewhere. Yes. Okay. Yes. That's where I've. Yes.
And they played, I discovered them playing with I Prevail a couple of years ago, and I'm like, yeah, these guys are good. And they're Australian, so that's cool too.
Awesome. I'll definitely will pay close attention to them at Knotfest then, because I'm gonna be, well, by the time this comes out, Knotfest will have come and gone, but as of recording, it's coming up in a week.
Yes, and let me know what you think, man.
I will. I'm really excited though. There's a lot of bands there. Like I'm hyped as fuck to see Skindred again because I haven't seen them in like 10 years. I'm keen to see Hailstorm. Haven't listened to too much of their stuff, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. Keen to see Speed. Always keen to see King Parrot. Those
check out
go hard.
A Wage War playing that one?
Yes, they are.
So, yes,
Go check out Wage War, dude. You will not be disappointed. Mother.
The best part is it's a single. Well, I say it's one double stage.
Yeah,
that's it. It's not like all different ones, so I'll be able to see everyone. Like, there's no going to be any clashes or anything. So that's going to be really, really good.
Well,
all right.
The dude was saying, Raph, he's saying it's so cool. It's going to be their biggest audience because there's no clashes. So we'll go to someone else. So it's just them. There's no clashes.
Speaking of I Prevail, Speaking of I Prevail, like I caught them at Good Things back in November. God fucking damn, they put on a show. Like I was real impressed. Like I'd heard a few of their songs, and kind of whatever. I didn't realize they had 2 vocalists, and I just had not realized how impressive their live show was. But that was
Man,
hectic.
Again, like I don't want to sound like one of those name dropping dudes, but like
Name drop. Brag. Name
Brag.
drop. Fucking everything.
Jesus Christ! What happened? What do we do this for if we can't name drop on the odd fucking occasion?
That's right, man. Yeah, but like I interviewed him for their last album. He was seriously the best dude ever. Brian Burkheiser. He's the one who does the more softer stuff, and then you got the the screams or whatever. But he was a really super cool guy, and he's all into the same sort of stuff as me, like Detroit sports and that. They're another Detroit band actually, so I think they're going to be one of the big sort of stadium bands. Like I think they're going to blow up.
Oh, for sure, man. Like they've got all the elements there. There was a moment during their set where I don't know the names of the people, but the vocalist that does all the more screaming stuff.
I think his name's Stick.
He was kind of stood there, and they had like flamethrowers in their pyro for their set, and there was one spot, and he was just kind of stood there like looking. You know how like metal vocalists just kind of like, well, they'll like stand still and like survey the crowd, looking like fucking like like animals that are just hyped up on all this fucking shit, and they're just like surveying the crowd for like who they're gonna look at when the shit goes off. And the angle of the camera had like it caught like a flame jet basically going just in kind of. It looked like it went right just in front of his face. Obviously, he was a bit further back to be safe, but there was that, and then just like the wiggly air rising from the hot air going in front of him. The dude looked like a fucking monster. Like he looked like a fucking like old school. You seen like all those the way they make the generals look in the medieval movies where they're like surveying the battlefield with like after everything's ruined and in flames. And he just looked like a fucking absolute beast in that moment. And I'm like, yep, that's like that's new profile pic material right there. Is what I'm saying. Like,
So you
heard them, Be a Buddy. You don't listen to them. Like their last album's crazy. I think you'd like it, man.
Who was that?
You. I Prevailed. Are you a fan of them?
I have not listened to any I Prevail. I can be completely honest.
Yeah, there's a band for you to check out, man. Like seriously,
it's a mix of screaming and singing and
hey, I'm right there. I'm right there.
Metal elements in there and stuff. It's like yeah. It's a nice thing. I think you'd be right up your alley, man.
Mad. Sure. There's my Sunday night then after this.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Now, one more question before we go on to the next segment. There. I realized that being in like the underground rap scene and the Juggalo scene and everything, you've interviewed a lot of the sort of top people from that side of the industry. But who would be your ultimate interview that you haven't already done? Like if you could just name a name and it's like, yep, it's absolutely going to happen.
Like music-wise.
Music-wise, like, yeah, who would you pick for your ultimate interview?
Man.
As in like you do it and you could retire from doing it the next day and you'd be like totally happy.
It'd probably be someone like Ice Cube or someone like that, I reckon.
Oh, snap, yeah.
Those guys are badass, I reckon. Like they're very, very cool. I always wanted to interview Violent J, but I can't see that ever happening. I did have Shaggy on the show, like that was 10 years ago as well, and he was super cool. But yeah, I reckon it's got to be Ice Cube or Ice T for that sort of question. Like they're pretty huge right there. But Jamie Madrox and Monoxide, like those guys are awesome, and I've been lucky enough to have them. So that's pretty damn cool.
You can't say retirement because if he's doing so well, it might happen, and then he's going to have to retire.
Yeah. Well, look, it's not a binding contract. It's not a binding contract.
That's it. Hey,
but look, with any luck, mate. With any luck.
What about you boys? Who would you ultimately like to do? I want to know who you guys are. That's a great question. That is a really cool question.
I mean, it's really hard. Like if I had to pick one. Like just one, it'd have to be James Hetfield.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
It'd have to be.
Yeah, I think mine would either be Monkey. It'd have to be someone from Korn.
Yeah, I like that beer, buddy.
Either James Hetfield or Tony Iommi. I think for me, one of those two.
Yeah.
would be like, because I mean, look, I was fortunate enough to see Black Sabbath with the Aussie. I've seen Black Sabbath. I saw Black Sabbath 3 times. Right, I saw them once with the Dio lineup when they toured as Heaven and Hell. I saw them twice with Ozzy. I saw them in 2013, and then I saw them again on the retirement tour in 2016.
Yeah, nice.
2016, I was pretty close to the barrier. And when I tell you that, like, I was within spitting distance of Tony Iommi, and he is a guy who he just exudes class. Like, I've come across a new saying recently, and I know it's not a new saying, but I've only come across it recently, I guess, is form is temporary, class is permanent.
Ooh, I like that.
And I very much like that, because
That's cool, yeah.
when I was that close to Tony Iommi, and I'm watching this dude come out on stage in front of, 20,000 plus people, and he was just, when I say he was not phased, I mean it in the best way possible.
Yeah, that's
Like,
crazy.
it wasn't like not phased as in like, like, whatever, it's only 20,000 people. It was just like, yep, I'm up here in front of 20,000 people, and it's really fucking cool, and I'm just doing my thing, being me, because that's what I do, and that's what the people want. And he was just the air of sophisticated cool, I guess, that he was exuding on that stage. And when I've seen him in interviews, I don't know if you saw, there was I think it was on the Gibson YouTube channel, they did a whole thing, and it's like he was asked the questions by someone off camera, but that wasn't there. Like, they would just put what the question was on the screen. But it was literally all that you saw was him in a fucking throne answering these questions for like an hour. And he just seems like the chillest fucking dude, like super cool. So yeah, I think either, and obviously like James Hetfield, just because Metallica are what they are to me.
Yeah.
They're like the band for me. So one of those two, I think.
There's so many though, isn't there? I'm just sort of thinking
There
as you were
is.
saying that, man. Like, I don't know, like Corey Taylor would be cool to speak to. Zach De La Rocca would be awesome too. John
Oh,
Davis,
man.
Fred Durst would be funny. I think. Like, there's
Fred.
just so
Yeah.
many that you can talk to that would be super cool.
Absolutely.
You know what they say, never
many
meet
good
your
ones.
heroes, and this is a big thing. It's like, dude, you know what? It's so good when we see him on stage, but do you really want to peek behind the curtain?
Well, there is that.
The thing with that is Beer Buddy. I've been chatting to the, like, on and off for like the 10 years that I'm talking about. There's only been one or two that I've met that I'm just like, you're not that cool. And I won't say that who they are, because like they weren't cool to me. But yeah, it's only been a handful. I find metalheads and those sort of dudes are the nicest, friendliest people in the industry, more so than rappers as well.
Yeah, I'll just worst thing they always say, never meet your heroes. You know?
Yeah.
Funny you mentioned that the like that though, because like I've been fortunate enough to do at a small number of venues both rap and metal gigs in my time. Like, I've done, like I said, I've done through my work with Kid Crusher, I've done some metal, some rap shows at a couple of different places, and they happen to be places that for some of them also places I've played metal shows. And talking to the venue staff as well, like they're like my experience is that the metal shows tended to be better organized, and the performers were more considerate of other performers.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, and according to the venue staff as well, they've been very like, metalheads are great. Like, metalheads are great. There's almost there's very, very rarely issues when we have metalheads in. When we get like the rap crowds, they tend to be a bit more, a bit more sort of party attitudes and stuff.
Yep.
And I guess, and look, it's I understand that's a bit of a sweeping generalization, and I understand that obviously not everyone falls into that. Like, yes, there's some very shit metalheads,
Hey, you only need to
And
go into the
a lot
toilets
of
of the fucking metro to find that out.
yeah, and look, there's a lot of rap and hip hop fans are great as well. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that there's nothing
exactly.
there, but it's yeah, there's definite like what is it? What's the saying? Like rappers are the new rock stars, right? Like
Yeah.
they're now
Oh,
they're now the ones that have got like that are like because it used to be back in sort of the 80s and the 70s and 80s, right? It was all the rock stars were the ones that were the jet flying, limousine riding, kiss
Yeah.
stealing, wheeling and dealing,
shutting down
you know,
venues, everyone fucking trashing the
trashing
joint.
hotel
Yeah,
rooms, all that stuff. Yeah, whereas that seems to have shifted more. That persona, I guess, has shifted more over to rap stars nowadays. They're sort of the new rock stars in that regard.
very much so.
Um,
You only need to see the way it's just like making it rain. And you think of it like this, it's like Motley Crue were going girls, girls, girls 30 years ago. Rappers are just
Yep.
doing the same shit now. Like they like
yeah, yeah. Right, Kyle, if you would be so kind, please.
oh
Has to hit the button, so we've got to keep
yes.
this moving along.
Yes, we do. Let's do it. I'm very interested.
Here we go.
I'm very
you know what
interested.
I think I think by the end of this year we need to make like a game show thing for it. So it's like
We do.
get in the bin.
I'll work on it. I'll
Woo!
work
Something
on
like
it.
that.
Oh, get in the bin. Yes.
Yeah, so we're up to
Yeah.
get in the bin, formerly known as the fuck off files, where we basically go, hey, if you had like Thanos collected all the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet and had all the power in the universe to just snap your fingers and make things happen, what would you remove from the music business and why? If you can give us 3 things, they can be big, small, they can be altruistic for the benefit of everyone, or selfish for you think your own benefit. What 3 things would you eliminate or change in the music business and why?
That's a difficult one, man. That is such a difficult one right there. But I'll start off with shady promoters. You can sort of put them in the bin. I think I've had to deal with quite a few of those over my time, and
Yeah.
it hasn't been great. So they would be the first ones. Like not all of them, the majority of them are great, but I've just come across a few that haven't paid and all that sort of thing. Like, and it's been awkward, and I would put them in the bin. So that would be my first one. What do we got here? What about the restrictions on Facebook can get in the bin? Like, you know how you got to pay for advertising now on Facebook? Back in the day, showing
Yep,
my age a little bit.
You'd post it and everyone would see it. Everyone that followed you, it would be in their feed.
It'd be in their
Never this little boost button.
Yeah, you don't have to boost anything. That can definitely get in the bin, because if I had that back in the day of our tour, I think things would have went a heap better, even though we did splash a lot of money into the promotional side of things. It would have been cool back in the day, because the Hobson tour you're talking about, I think that went so well. What you were talking about earlier, that went so well because of Facebook, and that was before the algorithms. That was a great time, and everyone that was half interested in it saw it. And
look, it filled up that room at the Bald-Faced Stag, like front to back, side to side, complete sellout. And I had never seen that room move like that or anybody.
Yeah,
I'm still spun out that I'm hearing this at the Bald-Faced Stag.
I think I've only been there once a year, buddy. I think it might have been for a Kid Crusher show or something. Did he play there a little bit?
Yeah, he's done a show there. He did another show there as well.
Yeah,
Fuck. That would have been the old. That would have been the old setup too.
Yeah.
Yes, prior to it becoming Crowbar.
Oh, there you go. Yes, I reckon it was. And third thing, let's go with ego. Get rid of ego in the music industry, and I think everyone's happy. Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
That's
so.
a regular
very
one, man.
So.
You know what the funny thing is? Well, this is what spins me out about this whole thing. Like, it's a regular on there, but people can't seem to fucking get. Everyone says it, but no one gets rid of it. We're obviously all culprits for it.
The irony is that, like, people like that like a certain amount of of inflated ego is necessary, I think, to be a performer on stage in front of
Yeah.
people.
But that's
You
when you're
have
on
to
stage.
believe that you are important enough and worthy enough that people give a shit about what you are putting out there. That takes a certain amount of inflated ego. Um, but it is very easy for it to run away.
Mm. It's only meant to
Mm.
happen when you're on stage. Once you're getting off or setting up, it's like you just
Yes,
like
yes, I agree, but it is so like I mean, Kyle, you know it. You know what
I
it's
do,
like, man.
I
Being on
do.
stage it's a fucking the adrenaline high that you get and the feel good chemicals that get released in your fucking brain during that experience are fucking it's incomparable.
It
It is
is.
there is nothing that compares to it. And that, is it's very easy to get addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy to get addicted to, unfortunately. And people get, when you've been, especially when it happens to them at a young age, it's a bit like the footballers, getting signed when they're 18, 19, right?
19, yeah.
18, not fresh out of high school, 18, 19, and they get offered this big money fucking contract, and they're all of a sudden they got all of this money and influence and power and people not, people being saying yes to them all the time,
Yeah.
and it's gonna fuck with your head. It's gonna fuck with your brain, and it's it's a great way to live a very, very unhealthy life mentally.
Oh, yeah, and
Um,
physically too. Dude, if you gave me $1 million contract when I was 19, I'd be dead in the first year. I'd have been dead in the first year.
Oh
yeah.
man.
So there's a lot to it. And I think, it's nice to see that a lot of people seem to be trying to avoid it nowadays.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the people coming into it now with the advent of the internet, they've learned kind of they can see behind the curtain a lot more on it,
yeah,
and they know what happens to people that have lived that life. Like, now that we're seeing all these people that were crazy party animals in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even, into the 90s and early 2000s that were doing fucking massive amounts of drugs through that whole time. Now we have the internet. It's readily available for everyone to see what that did to these people, and people are trying, I think, for the most part, to avoid it.
yeah,
Nowadays, the new people coming into it seem to be like, yeah, they might smoke weed or they might so they might do psychedelics and whatnot, but they're not, I don't think, getting into like your cocaine and your
and your
fucking
heroines and shit.
get and,
Yeah.
and that sort of stuff, that the really like the stuff that will fucking kill you in an in
Well, now
without
it's a
think
prescription based world now anyway, especially in America and stuff like that.
look, there is that, and again, this is where I think it comes down there. That thing about rappers being the new rock stars comes back around, right? Like, you see a lot of rappers now that, whereas back in the day they might have been, maybe they were an alcoholic, right? Or maybe they just smoked a lot of weed.
Smoked a lot of
Whereas
weed, lean.
now it's like fucking prescription. Yeah, it's like you say, that's Xanax or fucking, all that shit that they're
Well, you look. You only have to look at
getting
the
high
the
on. And
the the SoundCloud rapper, Little Xan. He's literally named after Xanax.
yeah,
Ah, there you
yeah.
go.
Well,
Little Xan.
have you guys heard about this? Right, there's a genre. I think is it called crash out rap? Crash out rappers.
Well, you got this whole. Are you
Um,
talking about this whole lean pandemic that's been going on over there, where they're sipping on
no,
that
no, 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 no,
perp
no,
and
no, no. So
shit? I don't know. I can't
there's a
understand him
there's
half the
a
time.
there's like a type of there's this sort of new subgenre of rappers that are coming up now called, I think it's called crash out rappers, and the whole thing is about, instead of being like obviously rap, it's never been about like going to school and getting an education and blah blah blah, but it's like, instead of being like, yeah, I didn't go to school, I didn't get an education, but I'm a fucking gangster and I got all this money and shit anyway, and I'm a baller and I'm doing all this. Crash out rap is just like, yeah, I'm trash, I'm a dropout, I'm a fucking whatever, like it's all about just basically being fucking like
Oh,
being like a loser and having dropped out of shit and being like, I don't give a shit about my life. So what the fuck, I'm gonna do what I fucking want because I don't give a shit. About like in that sort of angle rather than like,
yeah.
I'm a gangster. I don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I've started seeing some stuff about it
I'm gonna look
recently. I
that
haven't
shit
checked it
up.
out
I'm gonna
musically
look that shit
necessarily, but
up. Man,
interesting.
it's so funny to see that even when you're not playing music, you can still see the same problems that are within on that side of things. Do you know what I mean? It's
Well,
like
they never change.
no, that and it never will. But it's
That's
so
what I
good to
said. Like,
see. Yeah.
there needs to be a certain amount of ego. There needs to be a certain amount of
Mm.
insecurity, like external validation that we're seeking by getting up there performing for other people.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the struggle in every musician of like, I'm not like the imposter syndrome combined with the ego that's necessary to do it is fucking wild. And it's
Yeah.
there's got to be
It's a bit schizo when you really
it's
look at it. It's
it's wild. It's wild. But look,
because you'll have the
before
most
we take it,
introverted people being.
yeah,
This is what spins me out. Like 2 years
yep,
we've been doing this,
introverted, and then they get up on stage and they're
and then
just
they
screaming in everyone's faces, and
Yeah.
yeah.
you
So
catch them out.
before we wrap it up, there, mate, what have you got coming up that people should be keeping an eye out for?
Oh man, well we've just relaunched the website. I think I was telling you about that a little bit, Raf. theundergroundaustralia.com.au. So if you want to check that out, that'd be very cool. It's sort of everything's there, new home sort of thing. And like I was saying before too, we've got digital beard photography on board now, so we're going to be hitting up a bunch more shows.
Yep.
Interview wise, I just had the dude from Wind Waker, like I was saying before, like that one's coming up soon. We've got a rapper from the States called Scum. I don't know if you know him, but he's coming up on the show soon.
Heard
And
the name, yeah.
yeah, he's pretty brutal, that's for sure. And yeah, John Cooper from Skillet as well. That one was an interesting one as well. That's what I've got coming up interview wise. That's about it at the moment, though.
Awesome. Well, yeah, people should go and check out. So you said it's theunderground.com.au is the website.
Undergroundaustralia.com.au.
So it's undergroundaustralia.com.au. My apologies. Do you have is there like a mailing list on there people can sign up for?
Yeah, so all the links and everything are all on there if you go and check that out. And it's the Underground Australia pretty much on all the socials, and Underground Aust on Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days. That's the only difference in it. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of old interviews and whatnot that you can check out there in the back catalogs that we were talking about. This year's been pretty good so far. Like we had
there's a lot of tours and stuff happening, right?
Yeah, man. We had Cold Chamber, we had Mudvayne, we've had Twisted, we've had Madchild. Like there's been it's been a very solid start to this year. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
man.
awesome, man.
Awesome.
It makes us so happy.
Well, go and check out the website, theundergroundaustralia.com.au. Go and check out all the socials. And look, if you like this interview, subscribe to our thing down there so you can get more interviews like this one. Go and check out our reactions that we've been doing on Metal Ruse. So there's a whole bunch of new ones that gone up over there recently.
Yeah.
And look, yeah, thank you so much, man, for joining us. I really, really appreciate
You're an
you
absolute
taking
legend,
some time
Ned.
No, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it, man. Like I think what you guys are doing is great too, and I'm gonna have to check out those reaction videos. It's a bunch of fun, and yeah, thank you. Just appreciate hanging out. It's been very much cut from the same cloth, I think, us three. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And look, I always enjoy speaking with you. I don't get to do it enough, so hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, 100%. Come back again soon.
Yeah, sounds great, fellas. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's all from us. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to our guest, Ned. Thank you to my co-host, Beer Buddy. I have been the Reverend Raph. We will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Peace.